Hey everyone, my name is Jack, and in this video I want to go over the wonderful world of house hacking and how I have been able to substantially reduce my housing costs because of it. In general, house hacking is where you buy a property that's too big for yourself, and then you rent out the remaining space to bring in some rental income that then offsets the cost of your housing. Unfortunately, it's an option that a lot of people don't even consider when they go to pick where they live. I must quickly clarify that I am not a financial advisor, and this video is for information and entertainment purposes only. One thing that makes house hacking especially powerful is that you can take advantage of owner-occupied financing as long as the property is 4 units or less. As long as it's 4 units or less, you can use conventional mortgages that let you put as little as 5% down or 3.5% down if you use an FHA loan, or even 0% down if you use a VA loan and you're a veteran who qualifies. Really, the only special condition about these loans is that you have to live in the property typically for a certain amount of time, that's often about a year. This means that you can buy a $200,000 building with only $10,000 in a down payment, if not less in most cases. Now, you will still have to pay closing costs and some other expenses, but in the meantime, you'll drastically reduce your housing costs, and you'll still get to retain all the benefits that come with investing in real estate over the long haul. And owner-occupied loans typically have the best interest rate terms of basically any loans out there, about 3% in today's market, so you can get into that property with that nice interest rate, and then even after you move out, you can keep that financing and use that property as a cash flowing rental ideally. And even if it doesn't cash flow very much, if at all, you still get to keep the equity that will accelerate as tenants pay down your mortgage each month at a faster and faster rate as you get through the amortized loan. And then you still get to keep that property, and you can choose whether you want to sell that property off, reborrow against it, and it gives you a lot more financial flexibility when you hold on to that super good financing at the beginning, again for a very low upfront investment. Now, when I say low, I do mean relatively low. Real estate is a very capital-intensive industry, even when you use low down payment loans, so you typically still have to bring 5 figures to the closing table. That can take a little while to save up for, but it's still very obtainable for someone with a median salary job who has good saving practices and has good credit. You can get into one of these properties that you can house hack with very little down compared to most of the rest of the real estate industry. Now, about a year and a half ago, I bought my first piece of real estate and immediately began house hacking. It's actually a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom condo in Chicago that my wife and I currently live in, and we rent out the other bedroom and bathroom to offset our housing costs. We do plan on hanging on to this property for the long haul, even after we move out of it in the coming years, to hopefully do this again with a larger property, since you can do this up to 4 units like I mentioned. But in the meantime, we can enjoy much lower net housing costs because we are house hacking. Let's take a look at the specifics of this deal right now. So here is the condo we actually bought. It's a 2-bed, 2-bath garden unit. Yes, I am a basement dweller, but it's a nice basement. See, take a look. Yeah, okay, this picture actually makes it look smaller than it actually is, but it's, decent finishes. It's really well lit, so it's not super dark like a lot of garden units. And we like living there. Big bathroom with a large jacuzzi tub as well, so that's nice. Here's the second bedroom. So it's about 975 square feet, and I got it for $153,000. Here's the beach that it's right next to, which is the coolest part in my opinion, at least for half the year when it's not freezing in Lake Michigan and Chicagoland. But overall, it's a decent building. And the HOA dues are $190 per month, or $194 after you add a little fee on it. And taxes are around $2,200 to $2,400 a month, per year. That's Chicago taxes for you. Within the association dues, water is included, so that helps. We do have to pay for gas and electric, and also our internet bill, which ends up totaling usually around $150 total per month for extra utilities on top of the $190 condo dues. So we do have to keep that in mind with our expenses. But the key thing that we can do is that we can rent out this second bedroom. This second bedroom brings in $800 per month for us, and we have a roommate that we do like living with, and she's probably going to renew in the coming months, so that's good. But that's $800 in our pockets that we can use for all these expenses, and she only adds probably, I'd say, $50 to utilities each month between electric and then a little bit of extra heat expenses if there's any just from cooking, but that's really doesn't count. So basically, that's raw profit, Besides having to sacrifice some privacy, she gets a good room out of it, and then we get the extra rent to offset our housing costs. So here it is all spelled out. Got $700 going towards the mortgage at the time. I got a 12% down mortgage on the $153,000 home at 4.75 interest at the time. Obviously, interest rates have decreased significantly since then, but that's when I got about $225 per month going to taxes and insurance. Welcome to Chicago. Have about $194,000 in condo dues, as I mentioned, $150 or so going to utilities. Then we have the $800 in nice rent coming in to offset a lot of those costs, meaning every month we were really only out of pocket $469. But that doesn't include principal paydown, which is one of the key benefits to owning real estate, is that every single month, even if you have a mortgage, you're getting some of that principal paid down and your net worth should be increasing. Plus you get any appreciation as well, which I'm not even counting here. So that means we really, from a net worth perspective, we're only out of pocket $300 on this property. And that's just in the first year. As you own this property longer, rent could increase, and then principal paydown will definitely increase because an amortized loan, the first year or two, is very slow with the principal paydown, and then it accelerates greatly as you move through the mortgage. Now, the alternative for us would have been to buy a one-bed, one-bath condo in the same neighborhood, and that would go for about $120,000. I found a pretty decent comp for what a one-bedroom version of our condo would look like. It's about 700 square feet, only a couple blocks away from our current condo, so near Lake Michigan as well. Finishes are pretty similar, not exactly the same, obviously, but generally about the same quality and around the same size for what you'd expect. It doesn't have in-unit laundry, so that doesn't help, but it is in the building at least. And the Homeowners Association has about the same amount of dues each month at the $186 compared to ours, which is at $194 right now. So very similar in that aspect as well. And then taxes were $1,800 in the previous year, which again is smaller than what I pay in taxes because the unit also is worth less, so expenses are a little bit smaller in that sense as well. Now, even though the unit is much smaller, your expenses really aren't that much less. Your mortgage will be less, obviously. That's probably the biggest cut. It's only $550 here. Taxes and insurance are also a bit lower too at $175. Condo dues here are about the same. Utilities, we'll say, are about the same, though they might be a little bit less. Who knows? But your out-of-pocket costs would be way more at $1,055. And you do get some principal pay down because you still have a mortgage you're paying down. This would accelerate as well over the 30-year mortgage term. I did 12% down in this case at the same interest rate as before, just for consistency's sake, which means your net cost ends up being $922, much more than the house hack option for the 2-bed, 2-bath. Now, of course, there is a third option that we could have done as well. Besides buying a 2-bed or buying a 1-bed, we also could have rented a 1-bed. That's the third alternative we could have done. And that would have been, this is on the same block as us. This is for $995 a month for a 1-bed, 1-bath, near the same size as that 1-bed condo, actually a little bit bigger. And it actually includes heat, hot water, gas, and trash pickup, so that's nice. However, it doesn't mention anything about parking, so I'm not sure if you get parking here. But even if you don't, oh well, I'm just looking for a quick comp. So it looks like it would be about $1,000 rent, plus you probably have an internet bill, and maybe some other utility bill as well. But it looks like they got most of it covered. So let's just say, $1,050, maybe $1,100 if you have to pay for parking, maybe even a little bit more. But we'll say $1,100 to be safe, since that's what a lot of the other condos that include parking are around. So we'll go with that, $1,100 total costs there. While you might be more financially flexible renting technically, you don't get to keep any of this. The costs are higher in this instance with the 1-bed, 1-bath in the same neighborhood. You're $1,100 out of pocket approximately. You don't get to keep any principal, don't get any appreciation, so your net cost ends up being higher than both of the previous options. But granted, you do not need to front a huge down payment or even a small down payment for renting. You just have your security deposit usually, maybe a fee up front, and then you pay rent. That's it, no strings attached. It's much easier to get into renting, obviously, than it is to buy property, but as you can see, the benefits are much less as well. I think the numbers speak for themselves. You can see the full breakdown here. The net costs of house hacking, just if you get a decent deal, are way less than if you were to buy a place that has less space and you can't rent it out, or if you were to rent the same place as well. House hacking is perhaps the best way to get into real estate if you're not sure where to start and you want a way to limit your housing cost very dramatically in this case. And this is a very easy deal. This is just a 2-bed condo. Imagine what you could do if you were looking at duplexes or triplexes or even a 4-unit, because remember, you can house hack up to 4 units. It does not have to be a single family unit. Just things to consider as you enter the world of real estate and house hacking. I hope this video inspired some of you to start looking into house hacking if you haven't started already, since it's a very powerful way to not only build wealth, but to really reduce your net expenses each month. And that can really compound over many months or years when you're saving hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on your housing costs. But if you like this video, be sure to give it a like as it helps the channel out a lot. And be sure to leave any comments or questions that you might have about house hacking, and let me know if you've house hacked in the past before, or if you're currently house hacking now. I'd love to get your insight. And be sure to subscribe so you never miss any updates. I actually have a couple series right now on my channel documenting my investment strategies and how my investments are doing, so you can follow along yourself or just criticize me from the sidelines. Your choice. But that's all I got today. Until next time, take care.